Dirt Everyday Extras go live every weekday on MotorTrend On Demand, and you can see them all with a free 30-day trial at MotorTrendOnDemand.com. Here's an example of an episode you missed last week. This Dirt Everyday Extra, tube sock or the ultimate summer camp Jeep? I'm really lucky. I got to have both of my favorite Jeeps out in Moab. I brought the Ultimate Summer Camp Jeep out. I've had it at home for a while. I haven't actually wheeled this thing since last year, Ultimate Adventure. And Tube Sock was out in Columbus, Indiana at the Cummins headquarters where they were fine-tuning that crate engine, that crate R 2.8 liter engine that they're going to be offering soon. So what's the difference between these vehicles? What would you rather have for wheeling in Moab? Starting with the Summer Camp Jeep, under the hood, GM Performance Parts LSA engine, 550 horsepower, feeds a 4L80 transmission from Gearstar, Magnum 205 transfer case from Off-Road Design, and then it runs down to a pair of Spider Trax axles. The rear end is a spool, the front has a Gearworks locker, giant 10-inch high pinion ring and pinion, Spider Trax axles, 300M axle shafts, big burly race parts, disc brakes all around, and then a bunch of Fox shocks, coilovers up front, coilovers and bypasses in the rear, trailing arm, and it's a custom aluminum body on a custom Jeep Wrangler chassis that's been stretched and tweaked. The body is not a normal flat fender body. It's longer in the door, longer behind the door. It's actually a 3B cowl, so it's taller here. And then we brought the fenders up. The hood, fenders, tub are all aluminum. The windshield, grille, and tailgate are all steel. So mostly this vehicle is built from scratch Jeep. I'm calling it a 47 CJ2A, but it's a conglomeration of a lot of different parts that make up this vehicle. People love the beard seat or the PRP seats with the plaid on them, custom roll cage. The whole thing was built at Synergy Manufacturing back 2 years ago for Ultimate Adventure. So this Jeep has been around. It's fun to drive, it has lots of horsepower, it squeaks the tires, and it's an automatic. Now this Jeep, on the other hand, completely different ball game. I built this Jeep originally 2014 to come to Moab. It had a 2.5 liter gas engine, an AX5 transmission, a 5-speed manual. So this is a manual, this is an automatic. This is a little 4-cylinder, this is a big V8. Behind that, it had the 4-to-1 gear set in the stock transfer case, and then we built some burly axles, or Curry axles, with ARBs. At front's a Dana 44, the rear is the Rock Jock 60. Both of them are high pinion axles, keep the drivetrain up, keep the drive lines out of the rocks. So both of them have high pinions. The Jeep has more of a race axle. This is more of a trail axle. You can run these in racing, but Spider Trax and like the fabricated housings are what a lot of guys run. Curry's high pinion 60s, 70s, and the bigger stuff is what guys are running in racing. The 44 is not really what most guys are running in racing, but a great trail axle. This is running 538s, and that has, I believe, 543s. This has ARB air lockers, so it's selectable gears. That is full-time gears. And the rear end on that is full-time spooled, so every time you drive it around Moab, you take a turn, it chirps the tires. People think you're peeling out, but that's just the nature of the beast. Under the hood in this thing is that Cummins R28 turbo diesel. This is the one that we drove underwater, and then actually we swapped in another one because they want to do a lot of different testing. So this is the second engine that's been in tube sock. Well, it's the third engine if you count the 2.5 gas, the 2.8 we drove underwater, now this 2.8, and then this 2.8 went back to Cummins and they changed the front accessory drive. They're just using this Jeep for R&D. 166 horse, 267 foot-pounds of torque. It now has an NV 3500 transmission, still a manual 5-speed, and behind that, the Atlas transfer case. This Jeep is a much different to drive than that one. That one has brute power, it's fast, but it also gets hot, like your feet are warm. It just puts a lot of heat into the engine bay and the cockpit. This thing runs cool all the time. You're not getting sweltering hot in it. It's easy to drive down the road. This is running bias ply Maxxis 37s. That is running BFG tires, kind of a race tire. Both of these tires, I've noticed, You park it overnight, they get a flat spot, you drive it down the road and it kind of goes away. That's the nature of the beast with a bias ply. It's kind of unusual on this race tire, but I've heard that before on the BF Goodrich race tires. Neither of these tire is a tire that I would recommend for like long commuting, but for wheeling, rock crawling, both of these have been really good. I think the Trepadors with their sticky compound is probably a little bit better. This is more of a desert tire. This is more of a rock crawling tire. But I know BFG has some great rock crawling tires, and I know that Maxxis has some great street tires. So it's kind of null and void. I wanted to try something different. I'd had those tires for a while. They're kind of out of date. Like, BFG now has a newer race tire, so they don't even use that tread design anymore, but I had those and I wanted to bring them to Moab and see how they would do. Both Jeeps have a full cage. Both Jeeps were built only for 2 people. That Jeep has enough room in the back for a full-size spare and a full-size fridge freezer. It's got an angle in it right now, but it could also fit an ARB fridge freezer. This Jeep, the spare is, you notice it's up at an angle. There's no back seat in either of these. The cage has this kind of fastback design so that you only have enough safety in here for 2 people. This is running some Mastercraft seats in it. It used to have best tops when I drove it underwater. Those seats actually lifted you up a little bit too much. They were kind of an early CJ low back seat. So we put these Mastercrafts in it. The best tops will probably end up in one of my CJ5s or flat fenders at home. These Mastercrafts sit a little bit lower and keep you down underneath the roll cage as you're kind of going off-road. What else did we do? The rear bumper was a Poison Spider customs bumper. When I was in Hawaii and I was rock crawling and mud climbing, I'd slid backwards and hit a tree really hard and I bent that bumper. So I just put a new bumper on from Swag Off-Road. The guys at Axis Industries built us a skid plate for underneath that oil pan. You remember when we took it rock crawling and compared it to those 2 gas Jeeps, we smashed the oil pan on the 2.8 because it's a polymer style. Now we have a beefy skid plate underneath that. What else have we done to it? The headlights, the off-road lights, are still a quarter full of water from when we drove it underwater. It really needs some better off-road lights. The headlights are they're kind of dull also. So both off-road lights and headlights on both of these Jeeps could be, well, at least on TubeSock, could be upgraded. Summer Camp Jeep has some JW speaker headlights, and they're pretty good off-road and on-road. Both of them are fun Jeeps to drive. This one doesn't have any turn signals. You just have to signal when you're driving. This one, everything is still original. Turn signals work. The heater works on this. That one doesn't even have a heater, but it has plenty of heat when you're just kind of four-wheeling and getting some heat out of the engine and transmission. Overall, 2 very different Jeeps. This one has a little bit shorter wheelbase. You definitely notice that on some of the steeper climbs out here in Moab. That one has plenty of horsepower. Driving with the automatic, it's smooth and easy. The stick shift is a little bit more difficult if people don't know how to drive stick shift, but I have had a good time driving both of them. I know a lot of guys in town, the Cummins guys have had a lot of different people driving TubeSock to kind of give them the impressions of what the Cummins is like. And so I think a lot of people have been enjoying TubeSock out here in Moab this year. I've had a blast having 2 Jeeps. I think next year I'm just going to try and bring 1 because it's a lot of work to have 2 vehicles and keep them both running. The steering box on TubeSock is leaking. Something is leaking from either the transmission or transfer case. On the Summer Camp Jeep, maybe it's just a loose line or it's burping out of the vents. But that's the way it is. You take your vehicles out and you play with them and you beat them up and things start leaking or getting scraped. The axles and everything, I'll probably have to go underneath the bottom of these things and see if we've knocked anything loose. But for the most part, they're just kind of wheeling right along. I can tell that the joints, all the suspension joints on Summer Camp Jeep are getting a little bit loose and either need lubricated or rebuilt. So that's something we'll have to look into next. As far as TubeSock, what's next for TubeSock? As much as I like these tires, I'm gonna put some all-terrains on it and we're gonna drive it back to California and see how it does on long highway driving, what type of mileage we're really getting. All the gauges on this work, and so we can do mileage testing and really see how it does. And I'm actually gonna tow Summer Camp Jeep back. It's a fun Jeep to drive on the highway, but I brought my big Ram and my tow rig to tow, or my trailer to tow that back. But overall, this Jeep is ready to drive probably in 2 days. We're gonna put different tires on. My buddy Tony's gonna hop in this and drive it. I'm gonna drive the tow rig with summer camp on it, and we're gonna be headed home from Moab. Boo! We hate leaving Moab. But it's been an awesome week. We've had 2 Jeeps here. We've had a lot of fun wheeling with all our friends. We did some night wheeling. We went wheeling with all the lady drivers. We met a bunch of cool guys from Jeep and all their concept vehicles. And it's been an awesome time out here in Moab Easter Jeep Safari. We can't wait to come back for next year. We hope all of you viewers will be here soon. Don't plan on seeing both of these Jeeps here. I don't know what I'm bringing next year. Maybe we'll have a whole new project. Maybe we'll stretch tube sock. Maybe we'll cut tube sock and summer camp Jeep in half and weld them back to back. We're probably not doing that. Thanks for watching. That's been Dirt Everyday Extra from Moab, Utah. If you need more Dirt Everyday Extra, go sign up for a 30-day free trial right now.